hard hat, punch the clock, back to work. I'm bigger, stronger, faster, built to hurt. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West, answering more questions today for the Power Project, brought to you by HowMuchYouBench.net, The Slingshot, and the only strength magazine in the world, ThePowerMagazine.com. We got a question today about the bench, and we got a question today about the squat. Question number one about the bench is about false grip. False grip, don't do it. False grip is also referred to as a suicide grip, and the reason why it's called a suicide grip is because you can kill your whole face when you do it. A false grip refers to a thumbless grip on the bench press. I do not recommend it. I do not suggest it. Sometimes people need to do it because they have wrist injuries, but it's a bad habit to get into. You can't manipulate the bar. If you need to, you can't manipulate the bar path really at all if you have to. And that can sometimes be a crucial element to locking out big bench presses. So if you are doing that, you have to question why you are doing that. I know it's more comfortable on the wrist, but you have to try to figure out why you're doing that. You have to make your wrist stronger. Rather than trying to avoid these things that you can't do, try to figure out why you can no longer do them and try to get better so you can get back to doing them. Anyway, we have another question about the bench press. The guy says he tweaks his pec every time he goes up for a maximum. He's done 300 pounds before. Every time he tries to go for like 305, he hurts himself. And he hurts himself on the eccentric, the lowering portion of the bench press. And the slingshot from HowMuchYouBench.net was actually invented for that very reason, to help absorb the eccentric portion of the bench press and also to help the return on the bench press and slingshot you back up. Now, what can you do to protect yourself when you're not wearing the slingshot? What you can do to protect yourself when you're not wearing the slingshot is to try to A, outrun tension, and B, become faster. They're almost one and the same. But another element of this, the third thing that would be very important, is to only bench heavy about once a week or once every other week. It's going to be different for each individual, but if you're continually getting hurt, I would suggest benching heavy, and that's relative to you. That's a relative term, and you may not be related to strength or not. I don't know. But you're going to want to bench press heavy probably every other week if you're having shoulder problems, if you're having elbow problems, if you're having problems with your pecs. One of the reasons for this is that when you are beat up, when you are worn out, you're going to move slower. And for you, you simply need to be able to move faster. It sounds like to me there's probably multiple issues going on with your pec. You probably have the douchebag syndrome where you're built like this. You're built like a little crab. You walk around like that, kind of like the people's coach. But you want to have those shoulders back. A lot of times people are trying to pinch their shoulder blades together in the bench press and they're pinching them up like this. You don't want them pinched like that. You want them down and you want them back. Always try to keep your chest up when you're bench pressing. The form is going to be another crucial element of all this. But let me first speak about trying to run away from tension. Think about a bench press as being a movement. There's a lot of like pollen and shit flying around here, so if I cough and choke and die, you'll know why. And no, you can't have my hat, and no, you can't have my glasses if I die. But anyway, think about the bench press being a lift where you're taking the weight down this way, more so than down this way. That is just kind of a cue for your head mentally to try to think about not using so much shoulder rotation, but really you want to try to think about taking these weights down in here, and when it's time to go like hell, go like a mofo, and bring those weights down and in here and run away from tension. If you're going to go here, boom, here, you're going to create a lot of tension through the pec. And if you're going to move slow and try to crank it back up, you're going to create tons and tons of tension. You're going to recruit a lot of muscle fibers on the way down. As you're coming down with that elbows out technique, you're going to stretch the pecs a lot as you come down. But you're also going to put a lot of strain on your pecs as you go to press back up. You're going to put a lot of strain on those muscles, even on the eccentric portion. The eccentric portion, interestingly enough, is oftentimes where people get hurt. So those are some things to keep in mind. How to become faster. Work on your speed with light weights. Do not move in an erratic form. Do not move like you're having a seizure on the bench, but take the weights down. Again, try to think about a bench press being down this way. Bring those weights down and in and touch about here. Run away from the tension a little bit. Bring those weights down and bring those weights down aggressively. Have somebody say start, and the second they say start, boom, you go. You bring those weights down, get them to touch. A little bit of a slight pause might even be a good idea for this, just because it has the ability to help keep your pecs, pain train coming through, just because it has the ability to keep your form a little bit more intact and to keep you from hurting yourself on that reversal portion. You can also wear the slingshot a little bit more, so what I'd suggest is every other week add in the slingshot, because I said go heavy every other week. You can use it on either day, your heaviest day or your lightest day. So maybe you have one day where you go heavy and you do like triples and singles, and maybe you have another day where you do like 5s to 5 or something like that. Speed training can also be very effective. What I'm doing right now is I'm doing the cube method, but I'm rotating speed, reps, max effort from 1 week to the next. So it's only one heavy max effort movement every about third week. Another suggestion for people with pec pain and shoulder problems or any sort of pain in any sort of lift is think about doing singles rather than thinking about doing triples and sets of 5 and things like that. You want to know why? Because the more reps you do, the more time you're under tension, the more chance you have of getting more hurterist. So don't kill yourself with repetitions. Only do repetitions with the lighter weights. Now, I think that pretty much concludes that for the bench press. You got to become faster. You got to try to get off tension a little bit. You still need to stay tight. I know it flies, it's a little bit different than what people are used to hearing. But if you're on tension all the time, you're going to be too tight and you're going to kill yourself. Question about the squat was about squat depth. Go to mobilitywod.com. Check out some different movements from Kelly Starrett about how to get deeper in the squat. Also, you can check out Becoming a Supple Leopard from Kelly Starrett. It's a book. You can order it through Amazon.com. I'm not just trying to plug my boy. My boy Kelly Starrett has tremendous information that can be very beneficial to you. You can also type in Jesse Burdick and Kelly Starrett. You'll find a lot of great information from those two together, as well as type in Mark Bell and Kelly Starrett, and you will find a lot of great information on the YouTubes with Kelly and myself. I did hijack the Mobility WOD website one time and did a hip stretch that has been very beneficial to me, getting lower in my squats. A few other suggestions in getting lower in the squat would be, again, to try to come off tension. Everyone's always talking about trying to stay tight, and they misinterpret staying tight with bad form and getting themselves too wound up and getting into overextension. They want to overextend and throw their head up and have their ass sticking way out and look like they're grinding on a stripper pole, and that is not what you're trying to do. Well, it shouldn't be what you're trying to do. What you should be trying to do is keep your back neutral, keep your head neutral, keep everything kind of wound up, but you're also going to have to release everything a little bit in order to hit proper depth. Most of you out there are tight enough. I've seen you guys move. Your movement patterns are awful. I've seen it from hundreds and hundreds of people. People's hamstrings are tight. People's hips are tight. People's Achilles tendons. People's calves are tight. People's cankles are tight. People are tight all over the place, and you need to try to relax a little bit. And again, I know that sounds like weird advice because everyone's always talking about staying tight. I'm telling you, you need to relax a little bit if you're having trouble getting squat depth. Another thing you can try to do is you can try to dip. So you can go 3, 2, 1, dip. That little dip, that little rebound, that little relaxing period in the squat can help you just slightly dip down below parallel. Another method for getting great depth in the squat or achieving lower depth in the squat is to use a box. Start with like an 18-inch box, do a couple sets of 3, work down 1 inch per set until you get yourself down to below parallel. You can also do repetitions and have somebody pull 1 inch out from, that kind of sounds a little awkward, doesn't it? You have somebody pull 1 inch out, like a 1 inch mat off the box each time that you do your squat until you get down to proper depth, whatever that means for you. Make sure you're throwing your knees out. Make sure you're not doing too much with your chin, because again, your chin, your double chin, you want to have that chin packed in here and keep your chest up, but you don't want to get all overextended and overly bendy and weird. You need to flex your butt and keep your stomach tight. But other than that, like your stomach tight, like you're bracing yourself for a punch. Other than that, relax a little bit, my man, and let yourself get proper depth. You can't go wrong when you're trying to be strong. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from SuperTraining.tv.